Okay. Good morning, yeah?
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for that opportunity to have this conversation. A lot of people are expecting to see this interview, to get some answers directly from such a high level. Thank you for doing that. You're deeply loved and honored in Bulgaria. I would like to express all the love and joy and gratitude of the Bulgarian people for all that you've done so far and keep doing. And before I start with the questions, it's good to do a small introduction, although I believe that absolutely everybody watching this video have a very clear idea of who is Inelia Benz, right? So today, on 29th of January 2012, right, Sunday, I have the pleasure to talk to Inelia Benz, one of the most amazing, extraordinary people I have ever met. Actually, Inelia wouldn't describe herself as a human or as a person. That's interesting. She talks about the evolutionary path of each person, each soul on the planet Earth as a spectator. Unlike all the other souls who have through numerous incarnations on a planet or on any other planet, Inelia is a complete newcomer here. She has no history, no karma, no religion at all. She had been sent to Earth directly from the source because we had made a decision for a change. We had asked for help. And she has been sent here with a very specific mission to raise the vibrational level of the planet and the human collective. Is that right, Inelia? Is there anything else you would like to add to this?
No, that's absolutely right. And also, I'm not the only person who was sent. I'm not in any way unique. There are thousands and thousands of people just like me, and also millions of people who have come over to be incarnated on Earth from other planets and other dimensions to do exactly the same thing, to raise the vibrational level of the planet, so that more individuals can make the shift onto the next grade of the human evolutionary process.
Wow, great, so many people. Good. Well, okay, I will try to repeat many of the most frequently asked questions from the other interviews. But today I will go through some questions about your, okay, we still find it unique being. It's so interesting and I can't miss it really. So you say that in your interviews that there's usually a soul in the human being, or a divine sparkle, but not always. That's what I remember you said once. And what else can it be except of a soul? Are they people without souls? And
the soul as being a construct of a spark of divinity which has had an evolutionary process either on this planet or in other planets or dimensions to eventually return to source. It's like an enormously long cycle, and within individual singular experience of evolution, there's a richness that is brought back, and it creates reality, basically creates what we understand as life. And I would say that the majority or every living being has that construct. However, there are people or individuals or beings like myself did not have the evolutionary process, but just came in as a newly created soul, a temporary one, just to do a job, and then boom, back into oneness, right? Back into source and beyond. It's a complete dissolving of the construct, which is really beyond what we understand as oneness is the first singularity in reality, because it's the first identity as other or as being consciousness, which contains everything and everyone and all time and space in what we understand of as existence is contained in oneness. It has no size, it has no light or dark, it's all there. It's all oneness, and we're all parts of that. However, when I dissolve, I will obviously do that trajectory, but I go beyond into what is known as potentiality, but it's not conscious existence. It's not existence. It's what happens before and after existence, right? So it's a complete dissolving of the entity construct. Now, when you mentioned there could be beings without souls, those were mentioned in another interview, I believe, with regards to the Greys. Somebody wanted to know whether they had souls, and they had heard that they didn't. And there are that species which do have souls, but there are also what what's called artificial intelligence, intelligent technology, which is sentient but is not actually alive. So you could have, for example, a piece of metal which will respond and which will be intelligent and will receive instructions, but is not alive as such. So I think that's where the question came from, I believe. So no, they're not alive.
Sure, I understand. You partially answered my next question. But just for the others, you've said numerous occasions that you've entered your body, half an hour before you were born. So do you remember what is it like before entering the body? What are you and how does it feel? Do you have any memorized experience from that period before entering the body? And I know that you've been asked that question before, but what really happens after you merge with the source? How does it feel? Are you still that individuality, or you just become part of the one since you feel part of it? You don't have that individuality anymore.
There is a level of divine consciousness where we say we merge back to source, where we continue having the singular identity, but at the same time, we are the divine consciousness. So we have both, which is a very interesting kind of puzzle. But it is contained. We are both the individual that had that evolutionary process, and we're also the divine consciousness, which is everything and everybody, everywhere, and every time and space.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I see, I get. And is the soul infinite and eternal? Does the soul ever die?
Yes, it is. It always has been and it always will be. Because we think very much in linear terms on the planet, because we are in a kind of linear stuckness at the moment. We needed it to evolve like a kindergarten and have certain experiences. And but existence really is not linear. It's more, how can I put it? If you can imagine an apple, right? And the apple is the entire soul's trajectory of time-space. And then you take a slither out of apple and you say, okay, this is the experience on the planet while the person was evolving there, say, 1,000 years of different lifetimes. But that doesn't make up the entire apple, right? It's just one tiny little aspect of it. You put that line back into the apple and it becomes entirety. So the person can choose which point in the apple to experience at any one time. I don't know if that explains it any better.
Yes. Oh, yes, sure it is. Okay. What else? I have a couple more questions about it, the soul, and it's very interesting. And it's kind of a personal question, I have to admit. Is the moment of the birth the only allowed time for a soul to merge with a body? Is there any other moments during the lifetime a soul can enter the body? Because, for example, Crayon, the creature Crayon, says that there are certain moments in the early childhood when a second soul with a certain mission can join that unit of a soul and body, and they can all live together. Is that possible?
What I have seen so far, there are different configurations. There's ones where the original soul has lived its allotted lifetime and moves out of the body, and then a new one enters. A completely different soul being enters the body, normally with a higher vibrational spectrum, and comes in to do a mission and to complete a mission here on the planet. Those are what called walk-ins.
Yes.
There's always an agreement, and to do that, it's not the same as possession.
Yes,
the possession is
definitely.
where the being it's invaded. There's always an agreement, there's no victims here,
Yep.
but there's a belief that it can happen, and there's a belief of fear or whatever, or there's been a seduction of some sort to make the person more powerful. So this other lower vibrational being will force its way into a body somehow. But again, nobody can be forced, really. There's always an agreement there at some level. And there is the joint... there's also a really interesting one, which is when the person's tired or has lived however long they want to, or whatever they have wanted to experience on the planet, and they're ready to move on. And then an aspect of their higher self, their own evolutionary soul, but at a higher vibration level, incarnates into the body to continue that journey, to continue using that body to help the planet or whatever. And that's a really interesting one, because I've met quite a few of these individuals, and they're not quite sure, well, I feel like I walk, but I feel like myself, really, I know I'm not somebody else. But I've been having a much better handle on life, and I'm more effective, and I know what I'm doing, and it's normally that has happened. The part of the soul evolutionary level, which was tired and more asleep, walks out, and their own higher self moves in at a certain level. Yeah. And then people can actually ask for that to happen. They say, okay, I'm stuck, and I don't know what to do next. So I want to move out, and I want my higher self to move in, Yes. And then the higher self will say, yes, okay, let's do it. Or, no, we really need a few more things to do here. And then the aspect of the higher self could be at any level at all, right? So it could be at any level. And that's a really interesting thing to do. I would invite anybody and everybody to actually do that. And then there's what you said. You mentioned that two souls can work within a body, and I have seen that happen. Sometimes it can be a little bit confusing because the person feels the other entity or two entities in their body, and they're working very well, but it can be confusing, and sometimes it can happen because the one case that I know about, there was this lady who had a walking of a higher being, and she left. And then when she got home, her little daughter, freaked out and said, "You're not my mommy," right? Because children see, and her child was very highly psychic, and she freaked out and away, and it wouldn't have anything to do with her mommy, because it wasn't her mommy. Of course, the child knew.
Yes.
So this lady decided to bring back, or to request back, the original soul body, so that then the girl wouldn't be freaked out. So the other soul came back, and they shared the body after that. And the girl, came back and, oh, it's my mommy again,
Finally back.
Yeah. Yes, that's the only case I've known about. But I can see that it's possible, that it can happen. So, yeah, it's an interesting, we're so fluid, we're so full of possibility, and we're not limited, at least.
No, not at all, not at all. Well, thank you very much for answering that question. And what about incarnation? Is there any certain incarnation which each soul must go through?
No. It's totally a self-imposed rule. It's totally meant for the person, in the individual person, to choose. There are many religions which will tell you, you have to have so many thousands of lifetimes before you can reach enlightenment. Yeah. And that's a little bit of a trap. It is not true. You can reach enlightenment as soon as you're ready, whenever you want. You don't have to go through reincarnation. And how do you do it? You raise the vibrational level of your own life right now.
Yes,
right?
Yes, so that's what we're doing right now.
Exactly, yes, that's exactly what we're doing.
Oh, great. And what about, I have a really interesting question actually. Is the dharmic line here on Earth destined, or is it a matter of personal free choice only?
Dharma really is a decision that you've taken of something you want to do in this lifetime. But you can change your mind at any time, right? Mm-hmm. But most individuals will have a dharmic path, and when they find that they become full of passion and happiness, and that's one of the ways to identify it, right? You become extremely joyful and you have meaning in your life, and then you follow that path. So, to like coins,
Yes, I know that feeling when you finally find your path and your place here and your mission, and it feels so joyful. There's nothing more better than the experience.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. So switching into these timelines you spoke about, I know what you mean, but you say can travel amongst the different timelines and to communicate and get advices from the other Inelias. So how can you possibly do that? Is there any mechanism? Can the other people also learn that?
Yes, definitely. It's very easy. It's simple. It's very simple. It's like a daydream. And even if you don't believe in it, it's going to have some benefits, because a daydream will show you certain things that you need to know, or certain vibrations, for example. Say you want to make a decision in your life whether to become a musician, accountant, a politician, or a painter, and you love all those things, and you really don't know which one to follow. Or maybe you want to get married and start a family. That could be one of the choices, but it will stop the others, or it might make the others more difficult. So you want to find out. So what you can do is you can daydream meeting somebody, like you can make a room, for example, and you'll meet the violinist there, you will meet the musician, you will meet the politician at different times, not all together. It's better to do it at different times. You will meet the mother or father of children. You will meet the artist or the accountant. So you will do them with all the different choices that you're presented with. You will meet them one by one, and you will converse with them, and you will also meet them asking, okay, I want to meet the happiest, most fulfilled accountant in the future that I can come, right? And the most happiest, fulfilled parent, and the most happiest, fulfilled musician or artist or whatever. And then you go there and meet this person, and then you get the vibration from them, and then you can also get information. And then now you will have a better idea of which path you want to take on this timeline. And then as soon as you take it, then you become one of those beings, one of those that you met in that room.
And it's that simple.
It's very simple. There's nothing complicated about it. And also you can, once you choose that, like I did myself, right? I chose the Inelia who was working 10% on the ascension of the planet and of the planet. And of course there are other Inelias who have that as a side thing, right? They're concentrating on music or on the stock market or being or something else, and at the same time they're using that as a tool for ascension. They're using both. And I also have one. I do writing and I also do the energy work, so I actually do have both too. But when I was tapping into the unified Inelia, which is in the future, she would come to me and she would give me advice. Sometimes she would, even I could hear her voice if I was really messing up, as a teenager or a young adult or something. Stop that, Okay, bring me back, And so yeah, you can request for it's very similar to the higher self. You request your higher self to come in and give you advice, or your future self, who is an incarnation of that higher self, to come in and help you, or you can go and visit them and receive advice, or just bask the energy in the vibration of that being.
Yes, okay. I'll be very happy to see other people sharing experience because it really sounds so easy, and it's just like a matter of another choice. So everything is a matter of choice. Okay, and this is this topic is very interesting for a lot of people. The timelines and switching between them. And another question with regard to the timelines: is it only one and the same people living in these different versions of the human being in different timelines? What if the body dies in one of the timelines? So what happened to the other versions of us?
Mm-hmm. All the different timelines, which are actually infinite as well, they're all part of the same higher self. So it's the same being, right? Mm. And it's the same concept as, for example, the same being has had many lifetimes in reincarnation, but it's the same being. However, each lifetime has a different personality, different life, and trajectory. But it's the same person, the same soul, with different bodies. It's the same concept with regards to the different timelines as well.
Okay, and if for example, in that certain timeline, the being dies, what happens in the other timelines? Does it appear?
No. There are timelines when we've died at birth. There's some times when we died as children. There's timelines when we've died as adults, and we continue on. But in those timelines, we're no longer there. So the experience of those others who are left is different.
I see, and the being is collecting experience from all the different lives in the different timelines. All right. negativity. So in one of those interviews, you've said that there are certain places in the universe where it's okay to be negative, like the Earth. And what are these places? Why do they exist at all?
That is part of the chosen experience of the individual souls. There are places which are completely darkness, there's no positive or light in them. There are places which are completely light and there's no negativity on them whatsoever. And there are places which are souls experience duality, and the planet was one of those places where you have light and dark. And one of the reasons for existing these dual places is that on the dark side, the need for or the wanting of experience to subjugate others and to enslave and be conquerors will be fulfilled. And on the light side, the need to serve others and to be a bodhisattva will be fulfilled. So you can't have one without the other.
Yeah.
You can't have a savior without victims and aggressors. So all those are fulfilled by having a duality construct planet. And what's happening now in the shift, as we move through this very high vibrational level area of the galaxy, the planet Earth has decided that it doesn't want to experience duality anymore. It's moving on to another configuration, which is one where each individual is able to construct and create their own experience. And they're not limited by time space. They're not limited by just the planet. And it's very, what we would call light. It has very high vibration. And there's no judgment here. There's no one that is better than the other. There's a sense of, empowerment. Each person is able to and empowered, and able to create whatever it is that they want to experience. So basically, there are certain configurations of experience which are no longer compatible with this planet. One of them being power over others. That's no longer compatible. So everybody who wants to have that experience, either having power of somebody else over them, or having power over others, will have to go to their own other planet, right? Assistance. You have to go elsewhere to have assistance. Everybody who wants to have the experience of saving others or serving others will also have to go to another configuration. Those who want to be in an experience of complete darkness will also need to go elsewhere. And those who want to have an experience of complete light will have to go elsewhere. It's one of those decisions which are taken by the, not by somebody else, but by the person, the soul themselves and their higher self. And it's taken by their actions and their belief systems. And that's why by raising the vibrational level of the planet, we are giving more people the choice, so make an educated choice rather than an unconscious choice.